Okay, hello everyone, I am Mr. Rain, and this is a nice little behind the scenes of editing. I am using Davinci Resolve 15, I believe. 16 is the newest edition. As far as I know, this program hasn't updated, so that's where I'm at. And essentially, this is just a quick rundown of this edit that I did. It's the fourth video on Ziznia's channel. Link to that will be in the description below. You can see over here, this is my media pool. I don't use bins, I probably should. But any images, music, video files, whatever that you see here are stuff that I used in previous videos. And if you do use Resolve, I can try and answer like a few small, simple questions. So like you see here, I have these clips that are now like red and they're not there anymore. That's because I changed the location of where these clips are on my computer. So because they're not in the same spot anymore, the program doesn't know where they are and it can't bring them back. That being said, you can see that there are red spots over here as well, but that's just a graphical error, and that will clean up. You can see there's actually footage there. So that will clean up as you zoom in and out of the program while you're doing your edits. So you don't have to worry about it too much. And it may annoy you, but that's just the limitation of the program, at least for right now. So you don't have to worry about that. Let's just go ahead and show this first clip and then how to do all these text edits. Yes, it's pretty tedious. I don't know a better way to do this. This is how I have to do it. So, roll it.
Oi, welcome to Handley's Hotel Restaurant. Grab yourself a kangaroo sandwich, a special meal today.
Okay, so it's pretty simple. Um, because Cisneo, this is his voice, he's the primary mic. I can see his audio waves on the video, and I can see more or less where every word ends and every word starts. And I don't have to match it perfectly, but I do have to match it closely. And if there's a big word, I'll try to separate it like hotel, because it's two syllables. So hotel, and then restaurant, same thing. And then clear out the previous text, start with the next text, just so I don't have a huge wall of text throughout the entire clip, even though it still gets pretty big. And that's really all you have to do something like that. It's just tedious work, and and I don't know any better way to do this. So just clip, 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 clip. And then to like set this up first, you can either do it one text at a time, like one text box at a time, or you can take a text box just for you can take a text box and then you can drag it out to the length of the clip and then cut it and remove those spots that you want so you can get those little gaps here. And that's pretty much it. It depends on like your preference and your editing style. But since there's a big gap there, I can just use one text box for that and then use a big text box for this whole thing and then just cut it up and splice it. So that's really what it is. You just go here, you type in well, you go here, type in welcome, and then if you want to know how to cut all of these clips, all you do is you take your razor tool that's right here, you line up wherever you want your cut to be, and you see there's this thin orange line that I can move about. That's where the cut would be taking place at. So you want that to line up with the with your clip head, with your playhead, and then just hit cut, and that will separate those two. It won't leave a space, so if I were to play this, this would still be together.
Oi, welcome to.
So there's no space there. That's just letting you know that there's two individual clips there, but there's no frame in between them. They're still taking up the same frame, the same amount of time. It's only until you see a space like that or larger space that then it will show up as not showing. Um, simple edit here with the Australian flag slash continent, island, I don't know, I'm sorry, Australia. Easy edit here. You go here to the first frame, and you can see I have this red triangle marked. That is your keyframe. This is for when you want to do zoom ins, zoom outs, or some other sort of transforming motion, like having the text shake a little bit. That's what you would use. You would use your keynotes to do that. So what I did is that this is without, before using the video transitions, which I usually use cross dissolve because it gets me in and out of the black backgrounds, which is what Davinci defaults to. So before I put the cross dissolve in, I would click on the clip, and then I would edit the the zoom in, and that zoom in will change how small or how big that image is on the screen. And then I'll go to the last frame or second to last frame, and then I'll zoom it in so it gets bigger and bigger, and that's what creates that effect. And I don't have to do anything else. Everything here is just related to two keyframes, the very first one and then the very last one. Very last one or second to last, very last one. I can see it being a little bigger here. So that's all you got to do with that. Just come down here, size the image however way you want. Click the diamond there, go to your last frame, zoom it in as much as you want, and then click the diamond. I think you have to click, you don't, I don't think you have to click the diamond on the last time. And then, you know, go back, let it play, and off you go. That's what will create that effect. When it comes to the music and putting the music in the background, even though the music is the primary voice, the primary volume that you're going to hear throughout the entire thing, I still have it lowered. You can see I have it here to about 26, 27. And you can change it over here as well. The reason why I do this is because audio files are just really loud, at least for me. And so I don't want it to be louder than the sounds of the clips, but I do want it to be prominent. And 27 typically is pretty good. Having it a little higher also works pretty well. So let me just show you what it would sound like on 24.
Piano? Piano dead?
That's diffuser, right?
Inside now?
So I know it's the beginning of the song, so it's pretty soft and all that. But it's the same ordeal where you can still hear the gunshots, you can hear the callouts, somewhat faintly depending on who's talking. But the callouts aren't the big issue there, and if it is, then I can always just throw in a text box in there and clarify who's saying what. No, maybe not who's saying what, because I haven't figured that out, but at least clarify what's being said. So, even though this is clearly being said, and you can hear this perfectly fine, I still added it in for comedic effect.
Look how sleepy. Do not overpeak that.
And so that quick little zoom in there that you see, I didn't transition in or out of it, which would be a little smoother to do. But because of it being as quick as it is and how I have everything spaced out, that's how I just used my split clip razor button there, and I cut it here, and I cut it to about when he leaves the scene, and then I'll select it, and I just zoom it in. Yeah, I split the clips, zoomed it in, and no keyframes because I'm not transitioning from one thing to another. This is just a very cut edit. It's literally no frame of animation of any sort. It's just I'm in you know, I'm this far away and now I'm here. So it's a little sloppy, we want to call it. It's a little, uh, I guess, I don't know what the other word would be, but that's the quick, easy, cheap way to do that kind of zoom in without any animation put in. And it still works, especially for something like this. You know, you don't have to always overthink what you're doing. You know, it still shows him going through the doorway, and it's not jarring because Disney isn't moving too much. So anything that works like that, it's going to be pretty good. And then the only other thing to show is like figuring out when to cut one clip and transition into the next. And the best way to do this, if you have background music, is to do it with the music. So we'll see what it sounds here. So I'm gonna mute the audio here. You're gonna hear there's gonna be a higher pitched sound here that's pretty much lands on the beat, and it's going to be right about where this transition is from one clip to the next. So you see, it's almost right on the money if it's not right on the money, but for the speed of the video and all that, it doesn't have to be exactly exact. And if it is, great. If it's off by just a little bit, like I think it is here, you still couldn't tell if you're just watching the video from beginning to end like you would expect. And then just do the same thing. Anytime that there's a break or a downbeat to the song, you can always just transition from one clip to the next, or do a jump cut like I do here, because this is still the same clip. This one doesn't have any audio cues to it because it's still the same clip. It doesn't really need it. It's also like in a build-up part of the song where nothing's happening either. So, you know, it doesn't need a whole lot there. You don't need to worry too much about that, I don't think. And then there's a part here where this builds up, and then I tried to line this up a few times, and I kept having to change things, but I lined it up as best as I could. So as he gets the last kill is when the music really kicks in, and I think that works well. The other thing you see here is that I have a split clip here of the audio for this last part of this clip, and that's because of all the noise and all the yelling that's going on here. If I kept this as main volume, it would clip the audio, and it wouldn't sound good, it would overpower the music, and we don't want that. At least not for this clip in particular.
Whoa! Oh my god!
And see, having it lowered does work to the advantage of the clip because it keeps everything leveled where it needs to be. You don't need to hear the final shot because the music is there to help with that effect. Let me see this clip here.
One more. Easy.
This one is a transition that I really love doing. I did it in both of my montages on my channel. It's where you're in the middle of a reload, and then I'll cut you off in the middle of one reload, and then I'll just cut edit to your next to another reload later on in the clip. And it just so happened that I could do that with this clip because there's nothing else interesting going on from this part of the clip till here. So it's the only hard thing about this part is just lining it up. But outside of that, you don't have to be perfectly exact, like I've mentioned before. The more exact you are, the better it looks. But like I said, for the speed and pacing of these videos, it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up. I just love doing that effect, that transition. It just feels so good going from one reload in one clip and then loading, finishing the reload in a second clip.
Damn it, bro, so close.
So all I did here was just cut and did the same thing over here with the 1v2 with the previous clip. Because the volume gets pretty loud, just lowered it so it doesn't overpower the entire video. This one starts at the end of a downbeat. And not entirely perfectly aligned, but if you're watching this all the way through, you're not going to catch it. And if you do, then I apologize, but this is the part. That's a pretty good freeze frame there. This is where editing magic comes in, where you don't necessarily have to do everything the right way. It just has to be close enough, and sometimes being close enough is better than being exact. So, and that's really it. Everything else is just the same edits back in, one clip after the next. All this here is just very simple, easy edits that I can do whenever. Those take the least amount of time. What takes the most amount of time is animating text and making it big, putting it in places that people are going to read it, and that's really about it. So, I hope this video is entertaining. I hope it gives you some insight as to how to do some quick edits. I know I may gloss over a few things of how to do certain things, but to me, this is a pretty simple edit. This is kind of my editing style where I just do things in a simple linear way and make it come out the way it does. And I hope that I give you some good clips and some good insight as to how you can do some quick and easy transitions without having to animate everything or having to put a ton of video files on top of each other to create a similar or the same effect. So, with that being said, thank you for watching. I'm Mr. Reagan, and I will see you guys in the next one.